So
Elgin, that's what I love about you, man. You pull no punches, you tell it like it is, and that's why you're on this morning. Really quick. All right. Good morning, everybody who is listening. Welcome to Tech Tuesday. Today, I'm really excited. I have, first of all, a good friend who I've known since 2007. I used to be his boss in Santa Clarita, and Elgin has just become a really good friend and a business partner. So I need to make sure I disclose all that. He's a veteran, he's been around, and he's got a ton of wisdom. And he's been through the ups and downs because some of you first year, second year people that are going, oh my God, the market. And Elgin's been through it all. He has been through it all. So, Elgin, good morning.
good morning, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing good. Can you just give us a brief Reader's Digest version of kind of who you are, where you're from, and how you got into this crazy business?
Sure, not a problem. Well, it's hard to be brief after you've been doing it 36 years, but it's where I'm at with it is yes, 36 years. I have been selling real estate full time, and I started out with a couple of mom and pop companies, kind of doing everything that you can do wrong. I got in with no money, so I had no. I was young. I was young and looked younger. So, long story short, with all of that, my first real rodeo with it was just cold calling. Got in cold calling. I used to pick up a telephone book. I would cold call from 8 in the morning to 9 at night, and I would just pick a street and I would go and I would call. And then
Wow.
I set open houses on the weekends. I didn't know anything about title companies. I wasn't taught anything about farm packages, all of that stuff. I tried door knocking and I did okay with it, but I could always come up with a reason not to. It was too cold, it was too hot, dogs outside, all of that. Eventually, I graduated into Remax. I worked at Remax and then actually became an investor in a Remax office. Last time I really cared about production awards was in Remax. I made Remax's Hall of Fame and all of that. From there, I went to KW. To KW, like what, 14, 15 years, whatever it was, and did everything you can do at KD. But I did everything you could do at KW other than own a franchise, train the trainer, all that, you name it. I did all that stuff, which was great. And I went there because I thought that the profit sharing system would allow me to eventually retire. So, Frank, as you know, we live generally laugh once a month on who can afford coffee off of the profit share that we still receive that we're vested in. And here I landed there at EXP because of Frank. Well, it'll be 6 years, believe it or not. And it'll be 6 years in July since I came to EXP, and that by far has been the best move that I've made real estate wise, business wise. The best move I've made, period, is, and I've been married 36 years. We'll be 37 in November. And we have 3 children, and my 3 children, two of them have now given us grandchildren. And they were all born on the same day. Our boys are twins. So one of them had twin sons. And then
Wow.
my oldest, my daughter, her son, and they were born again, all within 22 hours of each other. And that was in June of this year. So that's the new life. That's part of the new why. So it's been pretty good.
Good. So why don't you tell the folks a little bit about what has made you the success that you've been, and then we'll stop there and we'll move forward into what do you see coming down the pipe in the next couple of years?
A couple of things for myself. I think one is I've always been more interested in the bottom line than the top line. Meaning, like, to me, it doesn't matter if you sell 20 million, 40 million, all that stuff to me doesn't matter because it doesn't matter to the public. But what matters is how much you're able to put in your pocket. In the beginning, that was not necessarily the case. And I cared about the top line and the gross and blah, blah, blah. I had a large team at one point. You might remember for a little while, Frank, I think when you were my team leader, and I had, I don't know, a couple of buyer's agents. I had a short sale guy.
Yep.
I had stuff. When I looked at my net that particular year and looked at the fact that I found myself not necessarily to be good in that position, the babysitting position, that we cut lean. And my wife got her license, so she's been licensed now, and we've been working as a partnership for the last 20 years. So more to the bottom line, and I like that. The other thing for me is consistency. I think that you have to be really consistent, that you have to be willing to do the boring as an agent. You have to really be able to be willing to do the boring stuff. I
Yep.
always have a joke. I say real estate, there's nothing sexy about real estate except the check. And that the rest of it is a grind. And by grinding, meaning you really have to focus and do the stuff. It's kind of like, eating spinach or something else for your body. It's good for you. You may not like it, but you better do it on a consistent basis if you want to be healthy. Well, it's the same thing with same thing with us. So I mean, even to this day, I still lead gen. I lead gen in the mornings. Generally around this time, I get started and go to about 10:30. And if I don't get anything done that particular day, I get that part of it done. So consistency for me has been a big deal.
Okay. So now that we're in this market and we've been in it now, and we're all waiting for the feds to cut the rates so we can get below that 6%, so we can get those bidding wars and multiple offers and all those concessions coming back to our buyers or whatever. How have you managed to float above water in the last 2 years?
Well, it's funny because everybody has felt something. I haven't felt it as bad as some people have. And the biggest reason I've kind of felt it like this last month was as again, for the first time ever, my wife and I, we pretty much took off the whole month of January. January, I turned 60. We went to Cancun the first part of the month, came home for 3 days and spent the rest of the time in the Dominican Republic, jumping from resort to resort. So getting back, redoing the momentum, having a couple of things go a little bit slower, all of a sudden I'm feeling like, oh, wow, there's something going on. For me, I didn't feel it as much as the last 2 years for two reasons, though. Three reasons. One, my mindset. Two, the consistency. Three is I learned a long time ago that I could not compete massively or broadly with a Zillow or Redfin or something like that. But you know what? I could get a good book of business, which is my database, and I could control that. And I could beat Zillow, Redfin, or anybody else with my database.
Yeah.
So continuously working our database, working it for referrals, working it for repeat client, making sure I kept bringing value. That has continuously supported us. So I'll get referrals, I'll get that stuff, but I get them intentionally. I'm not waiting around for the phone to ring for somebody to call me and say, hey, you did whatever. And that has what's helped me the last couple of years. Also, I would tell you that you got to be listing focused. Not tell you not to work with buyers, but you got to be listing focused. You got to have some inventory. I mean, you don't go to Ralph's to go to the store to get some apples, and then the manager goes, hold on a minute, and they go down to Vines and get apples and bring it back to you. You got to have some inventory. And that inventory, particularly with the market that you just described, Frank, is we're waiting for interest rates to go down. Okay, that's great. What's all of a sudden going to make a whole lot of properties come on the market? So you're going to get more buyers, but you're still going to have less homes to sell, right? So in my opinion, I'm not telling you not to work with buyers, but you can generate some great buyers off your listings.
Yep, that's right. All right. So now that that's all out of the way, looking forward, we all know that AI is here to stay and it ain't going away. As a matter of fact, the company that we're with had a big layoff 2 years ago, and they have kind of sent all that work to AI. And it's not just our company, it's every real estate brokerage, because they're realizing that instead of paying $30 or $40 an hour to an employee, that virtual assistant or AI can be done for $3 to $4. And it's just a matter of doing business. And I get it. I understand it. So Elgin, with all your experience, how are you going to maneuver through the booby traps and all of that going forward? Because everybody's kind of hanging on your word of what do you really feel that's going on?
Well, I think that as with any technology, you just have to learn how to embrace it and learn how to use it in a positive manner for your business. Now, you got to remember, again, I've been around a long time. I've been around before there was an internet, and everybody said the internet was going to just kill real estate. And remember, back then, there was no looking at houses online. That's when we had to really go out and look at them physically. I remember when a lockbox was really a lock. box. There was not apps, none of that stuff. Hell, there were barely cell phones. And I know people that did not adjust to those things and did not, unfortunately, were able to continue in this business. You can look at AI now for us and utilize it in your, but like for me, and on almost all of my property descriptions now, I use AI for different things that I post for different content, particularly on LinkedIn, stuff like that. AI, I've learned to adjust to those things because what it does do, at least for me, and I know that it does for some other realtors, is it will save you time. It will save you an awful lot of time, and it'll also save you sometimes from having to outsource things that you may have outsourced previously. So I don't necessarily see AI as replacing us, for instance. That means us that work. Now, if you're sitting around and you're kind of like doing nothing, and I shouldn't say doing nothing, but you're not actively and progressively doing some type of lead generation or whatever that looks like for you, because it looks different for everybody. If you're not doing stuff like that and you're worried about AI, or you're worried about interest rates, or you're worried about all that type of stuff, then you are going to get left behind. So I think that however you do your business, you have to take a look at it and just look on how you can add it to what you're doing. And for moving forward, I think that's a great thing. And there's some people that are really using AI way quote unquote above what I do and above my head a little bit, because you can get caught up in all that stuff and it's a lot to learn. At the end of the day, I got to help buyers and sellers with their homes, with their real estate, and help agents build their business with what we do. So I like AI. I like AI. Yes, I can see where there's some potential downfalls and some potential craziness to it, but I've seen all that before. There's potential craziness, and some of it goes crazy if people are looking to use something in a dark space. But there's a lot of bright stuff to it. And you might as well embrace it now. You might as well brace it now and get on the correct side of the curve as far as utilize it in your business, but don't leave the basics, man. AI is not going to go out and door knock. AI is not going to, you can have a robot, blah blah blah, et cetera, and all of that, but a bot, blah blah blah. You can have all that, but realistically, particularly if you build a database and you're contacting your database on a regular basis, stuff like that, those things can only help your business and not necessarily hurt your business. Someone asked what AI platforms. I'm only using Chat GPT. That's the only thing I'm using. I know that there are others out there, and I know that there, and I'm not yet. I'm using the free version of it, but I'm actually getting ready to start using the paid version. I'm going to start using I think it's $20 a month. But some of the stuff that I'm seeing that people are using with a $20 a month paid version is just, it's crazy. The stuff you can do with videos and blah, blah, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm not a perfectionist with that type of stuff, Johnny. I'm more of a guy that puts out a lot of content. It does not have to, for me, I don't have to be the best looking part of it. I don't have to have the best looking stuff out there. I just have to get my stuff out there more than you.
So I use the same thing. And one of the things it's done for me is if you ever have to go in and enter a listing in the MLS, and then you've got to write your confidential remarks and all of the things that you need to fill out. I was having a tough time putting my listings in the words. And now ChatGPT, I look like, grapes of wrath. I look like a huge author, but they didn't come out of my mouth. I just went into ChatGPT, because if you ever entered a listing and you look at other people's listings, how in the hell do they write a full 3 paragraphs on how great this house is? Well, now you can go into ChatGPT and say 123 Main Street, and it'll give you all the benefits, and you look like a hero. So that's your big tip of the day, folks. All right, so moving on, Elgin, I'm just going to let you go unplugged and say whatever you want to say, because we're getting down to the closing minutes about this market. Now, you're in Southern California. The average sale price here in Sacramento is about $545,000. Where is your average sale price in Santa Clarita or Valencia?
I believe we're like right around 830 right now.
Okay.
And it hasn't been, I'm not a numbers guy like that. It doesn't mean as much to me at what the average sales price is. What matters to me is how many families I'm able to help each year. So, but yeah, which is crazy of where the pricing is compared to where it was even when you were down this way. As a team leader, it's gone up considerably.
Yeah.
And our inventory's down like everybody else's, and there are a lot of people that are around and worried. I guess I don't feel the sympathy for everybody with the interest rates. And the reason I don't feel the sympathy is the first home that I bought, we did a buy down, and the buy down, we bought it down from 14% to 12.5%. The majority of and you don't have to believe me, but look up your stats. The majority of the time that I've been in business, rates have been between 6 and 8%. I remember when we went under 8%, and I was we went under 8. They went under 8%, and I was that the last pat on the back. I was top producer and the manager of a Remax office, and we had a Marilyn Rivera. She's shaking her head. She used to work. Marilyn and I used to work together out there, and we actually had an office meeting, and it was really like an office party, that the rates had just gone under 8%, because we thought that we thought under 8%, it's like, dude, it's a party. So now, and I get it. There's some people that argue with me and say, well, the prices are higher than they were then, blah, blah, blah. Well, they were higher then than they were when my mom and dad bought. I mean, the prices are the prices. Who cares what the prices are? To me, all that's monopoly money until you're ready to do something. What matters is what your affordability is, what you can afford per month. So when I'm, this is just me, because I've been around a little bit. I know a lot of people have been doing that whole buy the home, buy the home, date the rate, whatever it is that they call it. I think that's the stupidest thing you can tell a client, in my opinion. In my opinion, it's the stupidest thing you can tell the client, because you have not been in a situation until you start giving out these things as advice, when the truth of the matter is the advice that you're giving them benefits you more than it benefits them, and those people trust you. And all of a sudden they have something happen in their life, and they call you, Elgin, come out, we got an issue, blah, 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 blah. We got to sell our home. And now you have to sit in front of this person that you kind of really influenced into buying something, and you have to tell them that their house isn't worth what they paid for. And then they're going to ask you, well, where did your credibility go? Do you think you'll ever get another referral? So to me, one is I actually tell my clients, particularly the buyers, listen, you have to focus on what you can afford per month. You have to focus on what you can do per month. If the rates go down, et cetera, will you be able to refi it? And is it a good time for that? Absolutely. But I will tell a client, if you honestly feel, realistically, right now, 6 months to 12 months from now is about all you can handle with this monthly payment, you shouldn't buy it. You shouldn't buy it, because I don't want you to call me 6 or 12 months from now and I have to be the one, because I don't know what the market's going to do. And when people tell me that it never goes down, yes, it does. Yes, it does. It goes down. It may not stay down, but it goes down. And if you have to sell at the time that it is down, that's a problem.
Yeah,
that's a problem. So anyway, I on the buying side, I try to focus now specifically on them being able to afford it. On the seller side, I think the biggest word in this market to me is motivation. I need the buyers and sellers to have motivation. As a seller, I have to have motivation. You got to be willing to listen to me. You got to be willing to price it correctly, do what we need to do to sell it. Odds are, in this market, you will still probably get multiple offers if you price it correctly. You'll still probably get the benefit of terms if you price it properly. But if you're not willing to do some of those things, you shouldn't put it up for sale. I don't want to hear that I got 3.25% interest rate right now, and I'll sell it, if somebody gives me my price. Okay, well, I'm gonna let somebody else work on getting you your price if your price isn't what the market's gonna bear. So to me, motivation moving forward with both your buyers and your sellers, that has to be the forefront. You have to, in my opinion, look at whatever their situation is, be able to tell them the truth, have enough confidence when you tell them the truth, and not worry about the outcome. And you don't worry about the outcome because you're having enough conversations. So you're not having enough conversations, then you worry about the outcome. This is my one deal. It's my one escrow. It's my one. But if you have conversations and you're speaking to people all of the time, then at that particular point, you can honestly sit in someone and tell them the truth and what's best for them, and then they can decide. And sometimes people choose to not do this. I looked in the MLS yesterday and saw somebody that listed with somebody that had been talking to me a year. And I saw them listed with someone else, and they listed with someone else that I know. And they priced it about $50,000 higher than what I told them. Okay. I mean, maybe they'll get it. Maybe they'll get it. And you know what? You have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with that. You get people in the houses and whatnot, and all of a sudden they go, we can afford $2,500 a month, and now you see they took on $4,000 a month. I hope it works. I wish you no will ill, but I feel like I did my job with you. You would do whatever you wanted to do with someone else. I hope that it works for you. But if it doesn't, it did not get you in there because of something that I feel that I did, and I was looking at it from a standpoint of what the commission report is. Because like you said, the average sales price is 800,000. I just told you I just lost one. And on most of my stuff, I take a little bit more. All of my stuff is at 6. Most of my stuff is at 3.5 to me, 2.5 to the buyer side. So you take 3.5%, 800,000 that I basically, I walked away from because I told them the truth. But I can live with that. I can live with that. So
Elgin, that's what I love about you, man. You pull no punches, you tell it like it is, and that's why you're on this morning. Really quick, can you put in the chat your phone number in case anybody wants to get a hold of you?
I'll do that right now.
And
my phone? I got that.
I don't know. No, in our last closing minutes, does anybody have any questions for Elgin? I just really appreciate Marilyn, Johnny, Jaden, Ralph, Norma, Joseph, Jennifer, and is it Sharit? I can't, my glasses aren't on. I'm so sorry. Sharita, I thank you so much for being on this morning. It means a lot. Does anybody have any questions?
Yes, I'd like to say, let's go on a recap on Elgin, and thank you for sharing your story today and sharing, your success as well. I really look up to everything that you've been able to build. But when you were talking about the bottom line and, obviously, the structure and whatnot, as you move forward with EXP, how has that helped you to grow and be able to manage the bottom line and then also the multiple streams that you've been able to accomplish with EXP?
What's up, Ralph? Good
Hello,
brother,
hello.
man. You out there building, man. Look what you're doing. EXP for me has been great. It's been great because one, and I was one of those people that I started when I had an office, was when you had to earn the office and then you got to pay for it. You just weren't given an office at the companies that I had been with. So I'm really dating myself with some of this stuff. So I was not sure, honestly, that I could work, quote unquote, without a brick and mortar. Able to do that and only have to pay $85 a month for a whole business. $85 a month, right there, that increased my bottom line. The fact that the E&O insurance is what it is because I'm more transactions based. Some people do deals and they might sell a $20 million house and they do one a year. I'm more transaction based. So just on the amount of transactions that will do, even in a down month, saved us thousands of dollars just on the E&O insurance. Then I've learned and have someone helping me with KB Core just enough because I'm more database driven, where that again saves me a lot of money. This is part of my $85, right? So now when I use the stuff that I use for marketing, well, some of the stuff, besides them having some cookie cutter stuff in KB Core, I'm able to utilize that. And again, I work my database more than I work the other stuff. So my cost for that also is not a lot. And I didn't, I'm not saying there's anything right or wrong with it, but I'm not a lead buyer. I started trying to do some of that stuff. The stuff, I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm saying it doesn't work for me. And because it doesn't work for me, and I do have a profit and loss statement I look at every month, I do look at what's working. And as the market shifted, I took money out of the little stuff I was doing because it was cute, and back into the stuff that I was doing that works. So it increased my bottom line. I took the money off the top line. Then, of course, we have the revenue share streams. So in helping other people build their businesses and working the EXP model, that is bringing me X amount of money in per month on a regular basis. And then the absolute main reason that we moved to EXP was for the stocks, because we stayed productive. We're still getting stocks from that every month. And yeah, I know the stock is down right now and blah, 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 and all that sort of stuff. But is it really down? Because I remember we split and all that. And the way I look at it is everything in the market was down. So in building it and building for the future, and if it doesn't do anything else but make me save money so that I can have things for retirement, for the grandkids, for that type of stuff, that overall business model works better for me than just going out looking for my next sale. And for people to say, well, you can invest, your money here or there, you can do that. Everybody says that. Everybody says take 20% off of your deal and 10% for this and that. And I'm not going to say nobody does it, but boy, you could probably count them on two hands. So they have this set up for me to do it that way. That's worked well for me, Ralph. I hope
Thank
that
you,
helps.
Elgin. I really appreciate that. Also, you were mentioning about AI and how AI is becoming really big right now and how AI has kind of taken over the market. But there's one thing we're not replacing, and that's people. People will not be replaced by systems. One thing I've learned, and I've got a lot of my team on the phone right now. A few of them are coming on board listening about how they're excellent in making phone calls and they love making phone calls, but this system of AI and VAs have been kind of taking over the market. But the one thing you said to me that's not going to take over is people. And I'm trying to build up people that obviously can grow, and basically doing the same thing, because AI can't get licensed and VAs can't get licensed. So that's my goal. Can we touch on that?
At the end of the day, and I have a VA. I have a VA as well. And I have certain things, particularly with KV Core, that go out to people, leaves them messages, stuff like that. But at the end of the day, AI cannot build a relationship. If as a person, we continuously build relationships when we're calling people, when we're meeting people, when we're touching people. We build relationships. People want to work with us. As you already know, Ralph, from as successful as you've been in your other businesses and real estate, is that those relationships are what count. And that's what you focus on. So when you focus on that in your database, like for me, your database, you should have a certain small number of people, maybe a top 25, a top 50, that you have. Then these are people that are raving fans. I have some people in our database that they'll get mad at someone else because they didn't call them to tell them to use me. You get to that particular point to where you build in that type of relationship. You build a relationship to where people will go online, they'll look at Zillow, they'll do all of the things, they'll do all of the stuff, and then they'll call me because they want to buy a house. They may call me because they want to buy that house. It doesn't matter, but they will walk into an open house, and the first thing they'll say is Elgin and Paul Walker team is my agent. See, but you're not gonna get that type of relationship on AI. You're gonna get that relationship belly to belly, handshake to handshake, eye to eye. All of those things are going to build you a sustainable, and if at some point you want to, a saleable business.
Damn. Elgin, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you for everybody joining. I got to tell you, in the next couple of weeks, Elgin and I and a couple other people are putting our head together, and we've got some amazing things coming out. And that's just a little teaser. And if you're in the winner circle, you'll know what they will be. And if you're not in the winner circle, you might want to learn how to join, because it's really going to help you. With the way Ralph is going in Oklahoma City, looks like I'm going to be catching a Southwest flight and going out to him. And Elgin and I are going to see a lot more of each other when I'm flying down to LA. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. So anyway,
I'm gonna get on the plane.
Elgin,
but I ain't going on Southwest.
Yeah,
Elgin, thank you. Thank you so much. And we enjoy your honesty, authenticity, and we thank everybody for joining. And remember, stay tuned for next Tuesday at 8 a.m. when we'll have another Tech Tuesday and we will have a guest speaker. Everybody, have a great week.